All right, guys, thanks for watching and tuning back in. For those who haven't seen, or those who did see, the Canoptek Court, the Canoptek Harvest is back in full force with a final score, 100 to the Iron Hands 48. Where shall we begin?
No, that's enough. We're done. That's it. That's the video.
That's all.
We don't need to begin. Let's just end.
I mean, really, the one thing that I can talk and say about is Immortals.
Yeah, they were immortal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like
I did not lose a single one. They were Immortals.
So the first time we played the Canoptek Court, I ran my Votan, and we both discussed in that game the dice were in my favor in many ways. But I think today you really figure you really got a few more practice games in, and the stratagems definitely require very specific play. You have to plan out your CP, because it's very easy to spend too much CP. If you had spent too much CP and then couldn't put the lone operative strat on them, then I would have picked them up with whirlwinds pretty quickly.
Yes.
So it's one of those things you very specifically have to play. Make sure you're budgeting out your CP very specifically. But if you do that, the result is huge.
Yeah, everything is one command point, which is great. Like everything except for one stratagem is one command point, and the only one that's 2 command points I get for free on them anyways because of the Overlord. That Overlord was a huge addition. Being able to advance, and shoot, advance, everything, just death incarnate. And the Tesla, I picked up a whirlwind, a speeder, basically a speeder.
Yeah, the 9 wounds of the speeder, picked up the whirlwind.
There was a couple. There was something else they hit too that they just, your Calidus, which I didn't even need the strat for that.
Yeah.
Ripped the Calidus off the table.
Yeah, I mean, she's a 4-wound character, but the fact is that these guys with their guns are picking up vehicles. The number of dev wounds you do is just enough to do damage to anything, whatever the profile is.
And I think that was a big changeover for the army. I know a lot of people are going into Catans. I went over into just heavy dev wounds, and that was...
Because in addition to them, and they got to re-roll their wounds in the strat, you had 6 spiders that all have dev wounds and put out just a ton of shots.
Right.
And then you've got the wraiths, and their pistols turns out are dev wounds as well. So it's just an enormous amount. And sometimes you'd make attacks and you just fail on the dev wound rolls, but sometimes you roll hot. Yeah. I think it probably evened out of the whole game, but I know early in the game when you went with the Land Raider,
you feel it when one unit just goes, when a unit just hits you and you're rolling saves, you don't think about it, you don't feel it. The ones you notice are the ones that, like you said, when it's just oh, bam, I just did 7 dev wounds. You're like, oh, of course you did. But then you don't look at it. It's like, well, the other 4 units that shot that did 0 dev wounds, because we're not talking about that. Because it was like, oh, you just got 4 2-up saves. Oh, okay. And then it's that one squad that just, bam, 7 devastating wounds. And like you said, it does kind of balance out. The devastating wounds are nasty, especially. I'm glad that I tacked into that. It really helps. It really... help me get more powerhouse. The wraiths do no damage. They really don't do any damage at all.
No, well their pistols are what picked up. They did 5 dev wounds to the Land Raider from their pistols.
They did. The pistols are good.
It's not consistent with each unit, but it's across the whole army because you're rolling hundreds of wounds with dev wound things. Okay. It adds up. So it definitely made a difference there because picking up that Land Raider was huge.
Fair. And like you said with the CP management, excuse me, early in the game, I was getting a little worried with it. Yes, I was scoring secondaries, and it's like, okay, cool, I'm scoring all these points, but I've been in that position before. We've both been in that position before where it's like, nice, I scored 10 on primaries, I scored 10 on secondaries, turn 2, turn 1, I got 10 on secondaries. You're feeling good, you're feeling great, you got 30 points, plus 10 for paying, you're 40 points. You're almost halfway to 100. And then turn 3, wall. And you have no command points to dig out of the hole. And you're suddenly not scoring any points. And then from that point, it's just quicksand. And you're just falling more into it, and you cannot catch up. So I was concerned early on when I didn't have the command points to be able to move away, plus lone op, and do all those things. And I had to stop and go, what is really going to happen here? What is really going to hit me? And I think I did it very, very well, where you started hitting me, you started doing stuff, you moved at me. I'm like, no, not going to spend it, not going to spend it. Because like you said, if I didn't have that lone operative strat for my Immortals, I had a Resurrection Orb. I don't think I would have made it till the end of the phase with the Immortals with 3 whirlwinds to be able to get past it.
Right.
You know, 2 whirlwinds, maybe, but with your abilities, your strat, your sustained hits, your lethal hits, I honestly, I would have probably had to get you down to 1 whirlwind to be able to survive that shot, to be able to survive the round of shooting. And a pivotal one was when you dropped the intercessors in. And I stopped and I thought about it for a second. I'm like, okay, if I overwatch, I can probably pick up a squad. And then another one replaces them. And then another one replaces them to get the points. And I'm like, I technically do nothing. So I'm like, you know what? Go ahead, just let everything happen. Do your damage. Remove my Doomstalker. Killed spiders in the process of it as well. You had a good, strong... your aggression towards my home objective was very strong. You made everything that you wanted to have happened. And yeah, that was really vicious, but that could have been a very easy trap that you could have pulled a lot of command points away from me that I needed for other things and maybe been able to charge with your aggressors.
Yeah, because really you have 3 CP you want to spend every turn. You want to have the lone operative strat.
Yep.
You want to have the move away strat.
Yep.
And then you have Overwatch because the Doomstalkers Overwatch on 5s and they get to reroll hits.
Because most likely I'm in the power matrix,
Yeah, so there's the 3 things. So if you spend on 2 of those, suddenly you don't get to do one of them.
Right.
Unless you're getting some bonus CP somewhere.
And I wasn't discarding because I was scoring every card, which, again, like, that's great. Oh, cool, I'm scoring points. It's the point of the game to score points to win. But, like you just said, if I can't have those reactive command points to slow you down, then I could end up hitting a wall where suddenly I'm scoring nothing for the rest of the game.
If you Overwatch somewhere and then suddenly don't have CP for the lone op strat, and then I pick up those Immortals really quick. And that doesn't win me the game, but it certainly changes the state of how things are playing. Yeah,
this army, definitely I have to look at that a couple phases in advance to go, okay, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that in a couple phases for this list entirely? And, you know, our first game, I wasn't doing that. My first game, I'm just like, yep, I'm going to do this. I'm going to Overwatch. I'm going to do that. And then as it's going, I'm like, I can't keep up. My units are getting killed. My units are off positions and just getting destroyed and annihilated and nothing's working. And then in the game against Jake, I had 2 command points, so I was able to move a squad back and then pop the lone operative strat on him. So now that unit that he's like, all right, I'm going to go answer these wraiths, moved up the middle, moved everything up the middle, and I looked where everything else was positioned. I'm like, okay, I can spend 2 command points on this, and I'm just going to shut your turn down. And it's so cool, so good. And then like this, I was hopeful, and it was nice to see, but by picking up that Land Raider, that the aggressor squad was stuck. And by moving back like that with the Wraiths, I trapped those aggressors on that objective.
Yeah. And that's fine because they scored me points there.
They do.
I wish the world that the Land Raider had survived so I could drop off the aggressors and then plunge right into your lines and start doing work with the, tying things
Tank shot with the Land Raider.
Well, I mean, I can also auto explode when I die. So if I drive it into the middle of your army and you kill it, then I just blow it up. And it's a big model, so it's D6 mortals on everything for its deadly demise. But yeah, I was not expecting you to pick it up because with Armor of Contempt and with the Doomstalkers, I wasn't as worried about the Doomstalkers, but just the number of dev wounds that you did, which is the little pistols on the Wraiths is what really pushed it over the edge. Because like I said, you pulled off 5 dev wounds from 1 squad of Wraiths shooting, and that was enough to do it.
It was, and then we also had the spiders. You had 3 Doomstalkers on them. So I mean, I poured everything into them to get that of results. And you zeroed out 1, and
I think 9 wounds got through from the Doomstalkers. I did fail 4 saves and zeroed out 1 of them, and then the rest are just dev wounds from the spiders and the Wraiths.
So hindsight, do you feel like you should have put the thing at center? Remember we were talking about at the beginning of the game. You said, I thought about putting the Land Raider at center, but then didn't because you didn't want to, you wanted to go out the flank and just hold that objective and kind of move across. Hindsight, do you feel like you should have put it at center?
I don't think it would make a difference.
No.
Because if my aggressors are in the center, that puts them in a better position, but then your whole army is easier to get at them. But when they were over here, they're actually relatively protected, and they're scoring me 6 on primaries every turn. So it's probably better that they're over here. Because if in the center, you'd have more of your assets to be able to pick them up.
And one of the deadliest assets in my army as well that was positioned to play off of there, the Immortals. And had the Mortals looked into them and shot at them, now they're getting wounds that are causing an armor save. You're on an objective, so I'm re-rolling all the wounds. So not only are you getting the devastating wounds, which was one thing with the vehicles, a lot of your vehicles, like your whirlwinds and stuff, the 6s are the only thing that's hitting them. So it's dev wounds or nothing. But now it's extra, and all this little extra damage. That again adds up. And at the end of the game, you had 1 full wound aggressor and the Iron Priest. I mean, that might have been that from the Immortals, and you didn't exactly want to be in the fray of that. And for me to come over there and get to you was not going to happen. There was no way I was getting over there. We both had the exact opposite strategies. Mine was stay as far away from that as I can and do work over here.
Yeah.
And yours was kind of in the same thing. Like when after everything got set up, you're like, okay, I'm going to stay away from center. You can have the center. Let me clear you on a flank and try to take your home objective. And honestly, you did. You took my home objective. You made that play. You made it happen. Just weren't able to hold it over the attrition of the game. But that's Warhammer. You know, that's how it goes. Like your plan was executed. It worked. You took the objective. But because of losing the Land Raider so early, you weren't able to maintain and hold it. Kind of last final question. Do you feel if we ran that scenario again with the same units hitting it, with the dice the way they were, do you feel the Land Raider probably would have died again?
Probably not. Like I said, on the average, you're going to do a certain number of dev wounds with all the dev wound weapons you have. I think you just spiked it there in that particular situation. There are other places in the game where you're rolling for dev wounds and you've got 1 out of 15 dice. Here, like I said, you picked up plenty. So I think it would be better. I would probably not put it on the objective though, so that you couldn't take
that was probably the nail in the coffin, was because it was on the objective and I was able to spend the command point to knock the cover away. That was the final nail in the coffin that killed it.
I probably would have stopped 2 more of the Doomstalker shots. If I
maybe got the Iron Priest on the objective since he had loan up.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any closing ideas? Sentinels did much better this game. I was happier with them.
No, I think your list is in good shape. We're going to a tournament this weekend, just a little 1-day RTT. And Battlegrounds and board games. But I think it's in good shape. You should do pretty well. I'm going to be taking my Death Watch. I'm not going to be running the Iron Hands.
No.
There are certain things in the Iron Hands list that I have here that are strong, but there's a lot of things that aren't really like arch competitive. There's fun stuff in here, but I wouldn't take this to a tournament. But I think it may now be the last time I played Iron Hands. This might be it. I don't think you're going to see them on the channel again. Unless you guys really tell me that you really want to see more Iron Hands.
Clip that.
Oh, you know what? I am building a couple Repulsor Executioners. That might be good Iron Hands. I got to paint them yet. Ooh, yeah, I might have to withdraw my statement about last time with Iron Hands.
But what the most important thing is from all of this, I keep Lane's dice until the Votann return.
It's the only one I have.
All right. Well, Lane, thank you again, as always. Feeling much, much better about this, especially after last week. I needed a little bit more. I had to, I think I was in the wrong mindset for the list. And now after getting that game against Drakari, having some time to really digest and look at everything and made some changes, I feel like now I have a better understanding of what to do with the Canoptek court and how to run this thing.
Well, you've always played your Necrons defensively and scoring, and this is a different, you've never tabled me with Necrons before, have you? I don't think so. You usually
Destroyer Cult.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I think Destroyer Cult when I was able to rush into the backfield against Votann, but that was like pre-nerf Votann, or pre-boost Votann, where
when they were really bad anyways.
Yeah, and I ran Destroyer Cult just for silliness, and we went, what was that?
Yeah. Like,
it was one of those weird moments.
But yeah, it's a different, the Codex is...
I still play this really defensive.
Yeah. Yeah, but, well, I don't know. You had a lot. You were pushing everything forward.
The race.
So it worked.
The race. But most everything else, I was like kind of just staying back and like letting things develop. It was just the race. But yes, I don't usually have those hyper-aggressive units. This was one moment where I kind of clicked into the mindset of, if I put these Wraith 13 inches away from your Whirlwinds, that means you have to move them to get or I'm going to have, I can spend 1 command point and you don't target them. Hindsight, if I go first, now those Wraiths rush into your backfield and I'm harassing your home field objective and harassing your race on turn 1. And I mean, granted, again, not a heavy amount of damage, but over the course, like just whittle away. That's whirlwind, a full battleground that they could probably take out. So,
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, feel much better after that. Thank you again, Lane.
Sure.
And as always, thanks guys for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.